Hello, friends, and welcome to the Nugget Climbing Podcast. This is your host, Stephen Dimmitt. We've got an elite performer on the show today. My guest today is Soudain Lorenzi. If you haven't heard of this guy, prepare to be very impressed by this man. Soudain was the first person to climb 3 boulders graded 9A or V17. He did the first ascent of Soudain Seul in Fontainebleau. He's repeated Alphane, and he recently became the 3rd person to climb Burden of Dreams, the first V17 in the world. Soudain is from Belgium. He's 27 years old, and he mostly focuses on competition climbing, mostly on bouldering and lead. And I joke in this episode that he has become one of the best boulderers in the world on accident, and it's kind of true. He just climbs outside in his breaks from competition and has managed to rack up one of the most impressive bouldering tick lists of all time. So I really enjoyed getting to know Soudain and talking with him. And it takes us a little while to warm up, but around 20 minutes, I thought things got really interesting. I loved hearing about why Soudain loves projecting at his limit so much and what that does for his mindset. He talked about the projecting bubble. We talked about dealing with external pressure and things like bad weather and how he manages frustration. He talked about optimism and looking for solutions to problems. He talked about the goal of struggling, which I thought was really cool. And we talked about his dad. His dad was an amazing climber in his day, one of the best climbers in Belgium in the 90s, and he climbed the first 8C or 514B in Belgium. It was really fun to hear about his relationship with his dad and the support that he gets from his dad on the emotional side of his climbing. So all in all, this was a great conversation. I hope you all enjoy it. And without further ado, here is Soudain Lorenzi.
Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.
How do you pronounce your first name? Is it Simon?
Yeah, in French we say Simon and Lorenzi, but
Lorenzi.
I'm always like, if I speak to someone English, I just say Simon because
Okay.
I say it in English. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll try to do the French pronunciation. Do you mainly speak French?
Yeah. I speak only French and a bit of English. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you speak amazing English. I only speak English, so we're always impressed with the Europeans over here in America. I thought we could start by talking about your dad. It was really fun to prepare for this and just watch a bunch of your films about, some of the hardest climbs you've done. And I want to talk about all of your hardest boulders. But I didn't know until last night that your dad was one of Belgium's best climbers in the 90s. He put up Belgium's first 8C route, 514B in 1994, which is so cool. And you started climbing at age 2 because your dad was this amazing climber. Tell me about your dad and tell me about your earliest climbing memories.
I don't have like the memories of my first climbs since I started too young, I'd say. But I just know that since I was walking or at this kind of age, like 2, my dad just put me on the wall just to make me try. And the really funny thing is that I fell off the wall. Like I fell, but I was hanging on the rope, so it was okay. But he told me that I was super scared about the situation and I peed on myself. So that's actually my first experience in climbing.
Man, that's a rough start.
Yeah, but I don't even remember. So, And then I think my few memories, they're all with my dad or at the climbing gym I start climbing in Liège or Luc, and also on rock in Belgium. We have a lot of slab climbing on limestone, or also in south of France during holidays. I think it's mainly where I started climbing when I was young, with my dad. Yeah.
Does your dad still climb?
Yeah, he's still climbing. He will turn, I think, 62 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think if he like now he's a bit lazy to like to train and try hard routes, but I'm sure he could do 80 if he train a bit more and he invest some time.
Uh-huh.
But now, yeah, he's climbing. I think at least 3 times a week, but just for fun and just to move on the wall. And he's going outside during the weekends. And yeah, he's still super passionate, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was it like growing up at home? Did you always love climbing, or did you have to discover your own love for climbing? You know what I mean? Because like I started skiing at age 3 because that was just what my family did, but I didn't fall in love with it. I stopped skiing when I discovered climbing because climbing was my passion. Did you always love climbing, or did you have to fall in love with it later in life?
I think I've always loved climbing. I have a sister with 6 years older than me, and for her it was the opposite. Like she didn't like it at all, and it was even too much for her to be in a family of climbers. So she don't want to hear about climbing anymore. But for me, yeah, I really loved since the beginning, but like not crazy. I started when I was 8. I was doing football
Hmm.
till age of 10, I think. And at the time, I wasn't not climbing a lot. Just once a week, I was going to the climbing gym with my father, and I was not even climbing a lot when I was there. I was doing like swinging on the ropes and stuff like this, but not that much climbing. Then, at age of 10, I saw that there was a national competition, like a Belgian Lead Cup for youth, and I just thought, okay, why not to try? Then I went there, I won, and so and at this point I was it feels good to win, and I
Hmm.
like this sport. And also the mentality in football, I was not liking it. Like I didn't like too much because the coach are were not super fun, and it was, yeah, like this football mentality. So slowly I switched, and my father was quite happy that I I didn't do football anymore. And yeah, just slowly I switched. I started to train more for climbing, and I stopped completely football. Then I continue till now.
Okay. That's so interesting. You kind of accidentally won your first big competition. That seems like a theme for you. I think the thing that fascinates me the most about you is, you were the first climber in the world to climb 3 9A boulders, V17s. And it seems like you kind of did it by accident as well. I mean, you put a lot of work into them, but from what I understand, you primarily focus on competitions and training for competitions. And then, a few years later, like, oh, wow, Simon is one of the best boulders in the world. How do you feel about the last few years? Has that been a surprise for you?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to say, because the thing is that um, like the first time I realized I had big potential outside is when I did the Big Island, the 8C in front, and I almost did it at my first session, like
Mm.
super close to do it at my first session, and I did it the day after, and there I realized, oh, it seems like outdoor bouldering seems to be much more my style
Mm.
than what I expected. Then from there, I just set up goals, every time a new goal, and it's just that I put all my energy in one goal, and I don't know, it's kind of a obsession. And in my head, there is no way I can give up. It's just this kind of process. But yeah, at the end, I am not so surprised to achieve this. I don't know. It's kind of
Mm.
I don't want to. I don't want to seem arrogant, or I don't know.
Yeah.
but just I'm really in the moment, like so I'm just living the process, and yeah, it came like this. I don't know.
Yeah. That's impressive that the Big Island went so quickly for you in a couple sessions. That boulder's known for all the subtlety. Like you have to, take those slopers just perfectly in the perfect spot. Why do you think you were good at that? Does that come naturally to you? Like, are you a real detail person?
I think I learned more even after this, because since I'm training mostly indoor, I didn't have all the subtleties, and I was not focused on all the details at the time. But I think that this kind of boulder and this kind of style is really powerful. And I'm good at heel hook, so I was able to pull with all my body in every direction possible,
Mm.
and it suited me pretty well. I think even more than crimped boulders, for example.
Mm.
And then when I started to try the seed start, there I realized how much important it was to focus on really small details and find all the micro betas and everything. But
Yeah.
before that, it was not something I was used to.
Yeah. I mean, you've touched on a couple interesting things there. You felt like you were even better at that style than crimpy boulders. You're kind of known for your finger strength. And, of course, now you've done Burden of Dreams. So you've got some of the strongest fingers in the world. But I'm amazed at the variety of the styles of the 3 9As you've done. They are all so different. Like Soudain Seul. How do you say that, by the way? I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
We say Soudain Seul.
Soudain Seul. Soudain Seul. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is so different from Burden. It almost couldn't be more different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, like, what has allowed you to be so well-rounded, I guess, at such a high level? Did you really have to train for these 9As in particular and prepare for this specific style of Soudain Seul and then Alphane and then Burden of Dreams? Or did you already feel well-rounded enough to be doing well on them right away?
I think my style of climbing is more, I'm like I would say a generalist. Like I feel like I'm not the best in something, but I'm really good in everything you need for this kind of project. So I think one of my biggest strength is like short resistance, like on between 10 and 20 moves. I feel it's really the amount of move where I'm the best. So Soudain Seul and Alphane, it was kind of my style in that way. But for them, I didn't train specifically. I just went there and tried the boulder a lot. And for Burden of Dreams, I tried to train more specifically to get the finger strength. I also train on the replica. But the comp season has been really long last year, and I was injured at my at one of my finger, my middle right finger, and so when the first session I was there, I was really lacking finger strength, and it took me maybe 2 weeks to get enough finger strength to be able to do the move well. And then I start, I climb and climb and climb, and I felt that my level was improving. Also because at the end I was doing less session and more rest, and I think that really helped me to build my finger strength weeks after weeks.
Yeah.
So it was more kind of training on the boulder every time, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. It's amazing that you can train on a 4-move or 5-move V17 to get strong enough fingers to do it. I guess the replica, most of the other people that have tried it and done well or done it have spent a lot of time on the replica and built their strength that way.
Mhm.
I have a few questions on about each of the 3 9As you've done. I want to start with
Mhm.
Burden of Dreams, and we'll kind of bounce around a little bit here. But I read your Instagram post, and I really was curious about your first experience trying the boulder and what made you decide to stick to it. Because this is a quote from you from Instagram. You wrote that from being something not even imaginable in my craziest dreams not a long time ago to the achievement of a life goal. Not even imaginable in my craziest dreams. That was your first impression. So why did you keep trying it?
What I was meaning there, it's that maybe like a few years ago, for me, 9A boulder was even back when I was, I don't know, 10 years ago. I was thinking, okay, if I do one 8B boulder in my career, I would be so happy. Uh, so at the time, I was in my head, it was completely something impossible to reach. Then I went step by step, and at some point, I thought, okay, that maybe it would be doable someday. And then, yeah, it came like because at some point it was not even a dream, um, even it was because it was out of reach for me, like, and it felt like this. Then, yeah, I just continue training, continue to grow in climbing, and then I had the opportunity to go there, try the boulder, and yeah.
What was your first experience on Burden? Was it on the actual climb or was it on the replica?
It was on the replica.
Okay.
And I think
At Lattice or where?
no, we bought the hold
You bought the holds and made
put
one.
it in here in Belgium,
Okay.
but I think it would have been much more like intelligent to first try the real boulder and then set the replica, because since you didn't try the real one, you don't have all the details, and at the end it didn't feel so good to train on the replica, like not as good as what I expected. But if I would have tried the real boulder first, I could have like I would have know everything about the boulder and change a bit the way I was training in it, or the beta I was using. So it could have done a big difference. But at the end, I'm happy that I struggled. So
yeah, you ended up doing something kind of amazing, which is cutting one of the moves out of a 5-move 5-move V17 and doing it in 4 moves. You skip the second move. Most people do the really hard first move and then they match, and then they go up with their right hand, and you just pulled right through on that second move, which is incredible. Is that something that you had tried on the replica, or was it not set up correctly to even have that as an option?
no, I didn't try at all this beta on the replica, but it just I came to the boulder the first day. Then Aidan Robert was there, and I trained a lot on the replica on this match move, and because last year Stefano found another foothold, a small one, but better for small people. And on the replica, I put a foothold that I estimate the same spot, and I trained a lot in that move. Then I came there, and Aidan told me, I broke the foothold. So I was um, but there was still a really small piece of rock that you can use. But the first few days, I was still tired from the competition that we did just before in Brussels, and my finger strength was so bad that for me the move like this felt just impossible. And the first session, I just thought, okay, maybe I can find something else. And it's also because I was not strong enough that I start searching for another beta. And yeah, so I think it's a kind of luck, because maybe I wouldn't have discovered this beta if I would have been strong enough.
Do you think it uniquely fits your size? Because you're a shorter climber, right? You're like 5'6" or something.
I'm 168 centimeters tall.
I'm Googling it.
So I don't know the.
Yeah. So about 5'6". Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
168. Yeah.
But yeah, for sure that beta for taller people, I think it's clearly harder. Like Aidan, he tried a bit, but was kind of in a small box. So yeah, I think that suits my size. But nevertheless, you need a long arm span, because in that position to reach the right foot really far on the right, you're really extended also in the arm. So I'm lucky that I have a good wingspan.
Yeah. You have like a plus 12 centimeter or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. plus 5 inches. That's funny. You and I have almost the same arm span, but I think I'm like 10 centimeters taller than you. Yeah, those are good dimensions. That's great. You must enjoy trying boulders at your absolute limit. Do you enjoy that process?
Yeah. Like for me, it feels like it's one of the best feeling, I think, for me. Because when I project something like this, I just put myself in a kind of bubble, and I have the feeling that like nothing exists outside of this bubble. And all the day and all the weeks I spend there, I really feel out of the normal world and the routine, and it feels something really special to me. And I think this is what I like the most. Because I think it's really like not everybody can have the chance to experience this, to go out of the routine, going to work, all the stuff that normal people do, I would say. And there you can just quit and do just exactly what you want for a few weeks, and be with yourself, your thoughts, and just focus. And yeah, I really enjoy it.
What has the experience been like coming out of that state when you've sent these hardest climbs that you've done? Like reintegrating into the normal world, How has that felt?
It's not so easy. Like because it's almost like your life has no meaning anymore. Like you go back home, and then you spend so much time, so much energy to focus on one single thing, but once you send it, kind of disappear, and there you have to find another goal and something else to focus on. And that's also what is I think it's helpful to, like, now I have the comp season where I'm focused on, but I think if I would have after that no goal immediately after, I could be kind of depressed for a few weeks, even if I'm not someone depressed, but it could be that I could have this kind of feelings for a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, I've often felt like climbers are almost addicts, drug addicts, because we need the next goal, the next thing, the next objective, or the next boulder to do, or else we just kind of spiral out of control. We don't know what to do with ourselves and all of our energy and focus. Does the competition series coming up, are you able to step into a similar bubble with competitions, like preparing for competitions? It seems like a boulder would be even more specific, like that one set of moves is your whole life.
But not as much, because in competition we never know what we'd have to climb at the competition. Like every boulder is different. You always have to move from Belgium to go somewhere else, and like the routine is always kind of broken. So for me, it's harder to get in that really in that routine mode of trying one thing. But yeah, but at the end, you're also searching for the same kind of emotion, and like to just feel strong emotion and like deep inside you, even if it's in a short time for a competition.
Has doing so well on these outdoor boulders changed anything for you? Like, has it changed your goals at all? You're obviously still competing and you're trying to qualify for the Olympics, but you know, you were the first person to climb 3 9As almost on accident. And I just can't help but wonder, you know, because you're always training not just for indoor competition bouldering, but also for lead. And I've heard you say that you focus most of your training energy on endurance and then like the coordination and kind of competition style boulders rather than just like strength and power. I can't help but wonder, like, imagine what this guy could do if he just focused on outdoor bouldering all the time. Does that feel tempting to you? Have you thought about that after these past few big achievements?
Yeah, and for sure, it's my goal for after the Olympics. I really want to focus like almost only on outdoor bouldering and try to push as hard as I can. First, I'd like to train and repeat the Return of the Sleepwalker and Megatron, and then search for a 9A plus boulder and just invest as much time as possible. Because at the moment, I had all those process of around 25 sessions in each 9As, but 25 didn't feel like it was too long. So I'm really searching for something where I'll have to invest even more time and more energy in it. And yeah, it's clearly my goal. And I'm also wondering what I'm able what I could do if I train really specific for outdoor climbing.
Yeah,
because yeah, I really wondering, like, my finger strength, for example. I didn't train it like super specifically a lot the last few years, and I think I can gain a lot there. So, and for sure, it's the most important thing outside. So,
wow. That's impressive that you've climbed Burden of Dreams and feel like you haven't done much finger training and still have lots of potential with finger strength. That's badass, dude. It makes me very curious to see what you're going to do in the coming years after the Olympics.
But I think like Burden of Dreams, for sure, it's like you really need like super good finger strength, but it's also so much about precision in the move. For me, it felt even more about precision than finger strength almost, because the rock is quite aggressive for the skin, and if you have a good skin, just the rock bites in the skin, and it's for sure you need a really good finger strength, but yeah, you don't need the best finger strength in the world to do it.
I'll take your word for it. Okay, yeah. 25 days, that's still a lot of days. That's a really long time to grind on the same project. I've done a lot of projecting. I honestly don't know if I've gone 25 days into anything, which makes me think I should try harder things and spend more time on them. But I'm curious, I mean, with that, like, you're in that bubble and you really enjoy the focus of that, but there's also a lot of pressure that comes with that when you're kind of, at least for me, I wonder if you relate to this, but it feels like I'm putting the rest of my life on hold, and it's like, I have to do this so that I can go back to my life and like do some of the other things that I want to do. Have you felt that? How have you dealt with the pressure that comes with such a singular focus on these projects?
I don't know. The thing is that it was sometimes it was more about external pressure, because, for example, last year in Alphane, I had to go back in Belgium to train for a competition because I was supported by the government, and I was paid as an athlete to compete on the World Cup. So I had pressure from them. So I didn't want to spend too much time on rocks because of this. So I was really feeling this pressure, and it was not easy to deal with. But here in Burden, for example, I lost that. Like when I was there, I had the news that I lost that contract with the government, and like in the same times I was, that sucks. But in the same time, I was okay. Now I have no pressure from them anymore, and I just stay here, do my thing, and if I have to stay 3 months, I stay 3 months, and uh, I I know that it's only a matter of time, and if I have the time and the money to stay there, it's okay. I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, since I don't feel time pressure, it's okay to deal with the pressure. But for sure there is some, but I don't feel it's something bad for me. And yeah, it's when I'm at the boulder, it's, yeah, for sure there is pressure and I feel stressed. But once the session is over, we go back home and we enjoy the moment there and relax. And at the end, it's okay. I can really also switch a bit between those two modes. Even if at the end of the process for Burden, I was getting almost autistic. I realized that when we went back home, like after the session, I was almost no talking anymore. I was watching YouTube on my laptop and just thinking about the boulder. And so I was feeling I was switching in a really even more bubble mode, I'd say.
Yeah, you were incredibly tuned into that boulder.
Mm-hmm.
Did that feel good, or did that feel like taking it too far?
But yeah, at some point it felt it felt hard. But I think it also comes from the pressure of weather, because weather was not super good at the end. So I was stressed that if I have only one session a week in the boulder, it's gonna be hard to do it. And also my pinky, my left pinky, was starting to hurt pretty bad, and I knew that that would stop me in maximum 2 weeks. I would have to stop because the pain was too big. So it's this mental state was also coming with this kind of pressure.
I listened to the interview you did with Aiden and Sam on Careless Talk, and you were talking about trying the boulder as like negative 13 degrees Celsius on your coldest day, I think, which is like 8 degrees Fahrenheit. And they were asking you, like, how the fuck do you stay warm when it's that cold? And you were talking about, trying, at this point, you were just trying the first move, which is the hardest move, and giving sunburns. You would try it 5 times and then go back to the car and warm up. And I thought it was hilarious that you said you were sitting in the car warming up, but with your hands outside the car, kind of like climbers in a hot tub. Can you describe what you were doing? Were you just sitting with your hands like sticking out the open window with the heater blasting on you?
Yeah, it's exactly the position I was. I was like sitting on the conductor place, just with a few centimeters window open. And I was just keeping my fingers out of the car to still like to keep them as at close, like not too hot, because I really feel like if when it's when the fingers gets too hot and then you go in the cold, that the finger gets super numb. But if it's possible to keep your fingers warm but in the fresh environment, then it's gonna be okay. Just you have to just always stay in the good balance between cold but not too cold.
Yeah.
But I already knew this from the previous experience I had when it was cold. Just here it was a bit more extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I think that makes sense because I'm guessing what your body's doing is when you're holding your fingers outside the window like that, your body has to like pump more circulation to keep your fingers warm. And so you're just keeping the blood flowing. And if you let them get too warm in front of the heater, then your, blood vessels can kind of constrict back down. And yeah, that's interesting. Brilliant. That's very smart. I wanted to dive into, in addition to the pressure thing, and I kind of want to shift over to Alphane now. And there's one main question that I had about that. I watched your film. It's a beautiful film. You made like a 40-minute film about your process on the boulder. And one of the things that I appreciate about the film, and it made me curious about you, was you guys really showed your frustration, and it's very honest. It kind of shows like a little bit of the psychosis that climbers go through, where we're like obsessed with a climb and we're just being really hard on ourselves and trying to give our best performance. But I want to hear how you bounce back from really bad days trying a hard project. There was one day, I don't know which day it was, but there's one day where, it had just rained. It was probably bad conditions. The boulder had just barely dried and you're like having a hard session and not doing super well compared to your previous days. And this is like closed caption translation, but I'm such a fucking loser. I'm weak. I'm just a shadow of myself. Like these are some of the things you were saying to yourself. And I was like, damn, this guy is going to a dark place right now, which I think a lot of us can relate to. But how do you bounce back from those bad days?
I would say that even if the film didn't show it that way, because we were filming mostly at the boulder, I'm someone like super optimistic. So I always see more solutions than problem. Like every time there is a problem, I see at least two solutions to it. And sometimes like if I'm at the boulder and I'm not doing a good session, maybe I'm gonna be kind of depressed for a few hours. But then the some ideas that what I can change are popping in my mind, but it's by themselves. I don't try. And then I get optimistic again because I got this idea. I could change this. I could warm up better, or I could, and I just always got new ideas in my mind on what I can do better, and that really helps me to be in that good mood and to go the session after. Like, okay, this session I'm gonna change this and it's gonna work. Then if it doesn't work, I just new ideas in my mind, and it's always like this till I send basically.
That's cool.
And sometimes it's hard for me to sleep because I got an idea, like something that could do the difference in the boulder, and then it's 3 a.m, and I'm keep thinking about it's gonna make the difference, and yeah, that's kind of it can be super obsessive with me.
Yeah, your brain's just working the problem just constantly.
Yeah.
And we will be right back. This episode is brought to you by Arc'teryx. In the Alpine, great footwear is essential. That's why Arc'teryx designed their 2024 footwear for mountain athletes and for the realities of mountain travel. I'm not an alpine climber, but I love bouldering in the mountains in Colorado. And a lot of the bouldering I do during the summer has really long approaches. And I need a shoe that is super comfortable, super durable. And I also need to be able to trust them when I'm scrambling around on talus. That is why I love the Vertex Alpine Approach shoe from Arc'teryx. These shoes are made for the mountains. They're super grippy. They have a climbing toe cap for technical approaches, and they're super lightweight and perfect for moving quick through the mountains. They're also available in Gore-Tex, which is awesome. I got the Gore-Tex version because I'm going to be crossing streams, hiking up muddy trails as the snow melts, and crossing snowfields to get to some of my projects in Rocky Mountain National Park this summer. I want my feet to stay dry, and I want to feel confident in my footwear as soon as I get to the rock. Check out the Vertex Alpine and the Vertex Alpine GTX by scrolling down and using my special link right there in your podcast app, or visit the show notes for this episode at thenuggetclimbing.com. Arc'teryx footwear, built for before, during, and after the climb. This episode is brought to you by PhysiVantage. It has been nearly 5 years since PhysiVantage created their flagship product, Supercharged Collagen, a product now used daily by thousands of passionate climbers. Dozens of pro climbers like Daniel Woods, Paige Klassen, Drew Ruana, and many others swear by their daily use of collagen. And for good reason, it works. There's tons of research on collagen, and 6 new peer-reviewed studies published in the past 2 years demonstrate numerous positive benefits for athletes who consume collagen daily. In one study, collagen supplementation improved the rate of force development. Another study found greater tendon hypertrophy and stiffness with collagen versus training alone. Another showed a decrease in ACL ruptures. And a meta-analysis showed that 15 grams per day of collagen supplementation increased collagen synthesis rates, improving joint functionality, reducing joint pain, and improving muscle recovery. So many benefits to collagen. The list goes on, and I think collagen is a no-brainer for climbers. Learn more about how supercharged collagen can support your training and climbing at PhysiVantage.com and use code NUGGET15 at checkout to save 15% off your next order. That's PhysiVantage.com and use code NUGGET15 at checkout to save 15% off your next order. And now, back to the show. It seems like with Alphane, you especially struggled with weather, bad weather, mist, rain, humidity. What are some of the solutions that helped you when dealing with something external like weather? Because, it makes sense that like if you're struggling on a move, you would be thinking of different beta, I could try this shoe instead of that shoe, or I could, do this to my skin to make my skin harder, whatever. But when it's just bad conditions, that's at least when I just feel kind of helpless. I think a lot of us feel helpless and we're like, what the fuck are we doing here? Maybe I should just go somewhere else where it's dry. Did you find any solutions for Alphane with bad weather?
As for sure, things that are out of your control at least for me, feels the hardest things to deal with. But I was trying to keep this sense of control. I was going, even when I was not climbing and the conditions were bad, I was almost going to the boulder every day to see how the boulder was looking. And also I tried to dry it a lot. And I was trying to find solution because there is crack everywhere on the top of the boulder. So I went with the rope and I tried to, and I put toilet paper everywhere in the crack because the exit was always super super wet because it's kind of like a corner where the water goes. And just I was trying to do things that I can control this, and I'm gonna improve it that way. And it's so I try to work in that way, but sometimes it doesn't work, and there it's pretty hard for the mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I always try to find solutions even for this kind of thing.
And when you've put all these days into these hardest boulders like Burden and Alphane, when you're dealing with bad weather, you're talking about Burden, all of a sudden you have to like wait another week to try it again because of bad weather. What are you doing in the meantime? Are you only climbing on these projects while you're working on them, or are you mixing in days in the gym? Are you mixing in days on other climbs to have like more of a variety of movement? What's your approach?
Yeah, for Burden, I really started to go indoor climbing just on the Kilterboard in Helsinki, because I really felt like that after 2 or 3 weeks of trying only the boulder, I was getting weak, and my session were getting worse. And I really felt that climbing in only 4 moves is not enough to keep the shape, because I felt like a lot of my muscle were kind of sleeping, like in the big muscle, I mean, and even the finger strength, because your body really gets used to the hold, so you don't pull as hard in them anymore. You just put the exact amount of force you need, but so it doesn't stimulate the strength. So at the end, I was going a few times a week to the gym to train. And for the others, I just went almost exclusively on the boulder, because it was a bit longer, so there is more. You can work in more moves at the same time, and it was also a boulder that was easier to work on because not skin dependent like Burden. So I was training in the boulder actually.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really smart. And I think that's like, that's definitely a theme that keeps coming up on the podcast, and something I've noticed in my own climbing. Like I tend to enjoy projecting hard boulders for me, like things at my limit that are a lot longer for that reason, because I feel like I'm getting good training out of trying it. And it's for me, it's way easier to stay motivated if I feel like I'm getting a good training session, regardless of whether I send or make a new link, But something like Burden, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like training in the gym and then just, mixing in sessions on something like that versus just beating your head against it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but it was also hard with Burden, because for me, the way I'm doing, it's I climb a lot on the boulder, but I realize in Burden that it's also to keep that sense of control on the boulder, because if you climb a lot in the boulder, you do the move regularly, and you have the proof that you can do it and that you will do it. But when you climb only one small session in the boulder, then you rest for I don't know, 2 days. Then you do one session in the gym, and then after you try again the boulder, there is a lot of days in between where you don't try, and you don't have all those days, you don't have the proof you can do it. So I really realized that I was also, in my other projects, I was also acting like this, because I wanted to have the control on the situation, like at least this feeling of control.
Yeah. Is that more of a mental confidence thing, or more of like a physiological like sensation in your body?
I think it's mostly psychological.
Psychological, yeah.
But
like confidence.
also, yeah, but for sure it helps to climb a lot in the boulder to keep all the sensation of the move. But at some point I did the mistake to climb too much, and I was getting tired, and I was losing the good feelings I could have before. So it's really important to find the right balance. But yeah, it's a process that I still learn.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about your projecting tactics after 3 9As, 25 sessions each? Do you feel like you're a master of projecting tactics, or do you feel like you still have a lot to learn, or somewhere in between?
I think I still have a lot to learn
Wow.
in this kind of process, because I realized that every time I was doing some kind of mistakes that can be avoided. But since I'm not climbing a lot outside, it's also hard to. I learn only 1 month or 2 months per year, so it's not a lot to learn, and it feels for me more easy to. I have a better strategy when I have to send something under my level but fast. For me, it feels much more natural. Because I think it's what I'm doing also in the gym mostly. But I realized that sometimes with this kind of long project, I can be trapped in a kind of bad circle, where at some point I found the thing. Okay, I have to change this, and then that makes a difference. But I feel if I have more experience, I know that this thing can make the difference. So till the beginning, I'm already focused on it. So
just finding some of those things quicker on longer projects. Yeah. I want to double click on what you just said. There's lessons that you learned. There's things that you could have done better or differently on each of these climbs. Do you have examples? I think it'd be interesting to hear examples from each of these 3 hardest boulders you've done of things that you kind of know in hindsight, having now done them, like, oh man, I wish I had done whatever way sooner and it would have come together more quickly. Do you have examples like that for each of the 3 boulders?
For burden, it would be it's anecdotic also, especially for me because I'm pretty stiff, but it's like being more flexible. Because if I struggled a lot in the first move, it's because it was hard for me to stay close to the wall because my legs are stiff. But I didn't realize, because I was able to put my feet on the foothold. But I didn't realize that my stiffness was pushing me backwards just a bit.
Like hip opening?
Yeah. I realized at the very end that it was the trick for me. What I also learned is to rest more at burden, not trying too hard. For the others, it's been a long time ago, so it's hard to say. But for sure, like for the 2 others, it's like being really open about the beta, even after 25 sessions, like being really mind open to other beta and other micro beta that could change, and not still in the same circle, because you feel you're close, so you want to keep all the same, but just try something else, and just try during the warm-up or after the session, but try to every time to find if there is something you can do better. Like for example, in Soudain Seul, I found a new beta. I think the day I sent, I found just a small improvement in the middle part. And for Alphane, I also found just a small adjustment for the way I was grabbing one of the hold, and it really helped me, because those really small details at the end can make a big difference, I feel.
Yeah, always experiment on the projects. That's a good takeaway. Let's talk about Soudain Seul. I would love to hear about the book under the Kneebar pad. A lot of people are curious about that. I was curious about that too. I guess first off, just tell me about that. Tell me what happened for people that don't know.
So I was trying the seat start of Big Island, and so there is a few Kneebar with the left leg at the beginning, and right away I realized that my leg was a bit too short. I couldn't stick the knee bar with my leg. Like I really tried for maybe 4 sessions, only focus on those moves, and I didn't do the move once. Even with when people was power spotting me, I was falling because I was not able to put enough tension. So I start trying to put something under my knee pad. First, I tried with some socks, some piece of wood, some like things like this, but it didn't work. But my girlfriend was like broke with her some books, so I thought, oh, maybe I should try with a book. And I think the first one I took was that book called Soudain Seul. And just I put under my knee pad and it worked. So I start trying the boulder with that book, and I keep that book till I send. So and I name it the boulder, the name of the book. But the really funny fact is that the story in the book, it's about 2 people like crashing and landing on a island, like in the middle of nowhere. So for me, it felt just so perfect because the story, like tell about people like just falling on one island, and the boulder is a big island. So, so for me, it was just perfect. And also, what I learned because I didn't read the book, but I listened to it in audio, and the fun fact is that the principal personage of the book is a girl who is climbing. She's doing climbing, alpinism, and all that stuff. And there is a few sentences where she explained, and there I crimped the rock, and she really explained about moving climbing. So like everything was too perfect, and yeah, so that's a bit the story behind the name.
I love that. It was meant to be. How thick is the book?
1 centimeters.
Oh wow! So it wasn't much at all.
It's
just a little bit.
It's almost nothing, and it's crazy that just this small piece can make such a big difference. Like because it's really like I have no chance to put my knee, and even like this, it's still a bit hard I have to push like crazy in my calf, but there at least it feels possible for me.
Did you try a thicker book and discard it for some reason? Yeah. Why didn't a thicker book help?
Because it's I think I tried something not bigger than 3 centimeters, I'd say, but it's you lost too much stability in the knee pad because it's moving like
shifting
sideways,
side to side.
You know?
Gotcha.
And because also the first knee bar of the climb is not the deep knee bar, so it's really the tip of the knee pad on the hold. So if there is something thick, it just, I don't know, that the book is bending and it doesn't work. It's
Wow, that book, it was meant to be. It's the perfect thing. Yeah. That's amazing. Did you have to do anything to keep it from sliding? Like, you're wearing pants and you just put the book on your thigh and then strap the knee bar pad over the top of it? Or did you have any tricks to make it secure?
I was using from a friend of mine who was really he was working on Big Island, and he's used to climbing with knee pad because he spent a lot of time in Spain, and it was his knee pad that I was using, and he had like a spray glue that the one for physio, like that physio used to put the tape or physio tape, and I was just putting like this spray glue on my leg, then the book, then glue on the book, and then the knee pad.
Gotcha.
And everything was super sticky together, and it was perfect.
So the book was like ruined by the time you're done with this project.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we still have it. It's under of a small glass dome.
Yeah,
and it's like a hard piece in the gym where I train.
Oh, I love
in
it.
Brazil.
That's amazing. Can you even read the title, or is it just all covered in glue?
No, because I covered the book with tape to avoid that the pages move like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Was your girlfriend annoyed that she didn't get her book to read while you were projecting?
No, because she had other book with her because she's reading a lot, and she was like also like 100% in the experience with me, and it was because it was during the lockdown, and it was a crazy experience to share together. So she was super happy. And
is she a climber too?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the Fontainebleau is a good place to have a project if you're with your partner who's climbing different grades. It seems like there's just endless things to do. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think I was going every day at the boulder, and I was resting the day where the weather was not good. So at the end, on maybe on more than 1 month we spent there, I think we spent only 2 days for her.
Okay.
but she also struggled a lot to climb when it's cold, so it's not totally my fault.
Yeah. It's also I mean, I don't think your climbing is more important than hers, but this is like a common dynamic, and it is different because this is kind of your job, you know. I mean, even though you're not a professional climber, you know, at the time you were sponsored by the government to climb, and that's a really big deal. So that makes sense. Yeah. Do you have any lessons from Soudain Seul that you learned? I mean, it sounds like that was your first really big project. Any big takeaways from that process?
I think what I really learned is that if I invest enough time in something and I put all the effort, I really trust that I can do it. Like I have no barrier in my mind anymore of what I can achieve.
Yeah.
And I think this is what I learned from this first projecting experience, like hard projecting.
That's incredible. Yeah. And what was it that kept you sticking with it for those first 4 or 5 days before you found the book and the Kneebar pad and got that Kneebar to work? Why did you keep trying it? Was it because the rest of it was feeling possible and it was just these 1 or 2 moves with the knee bars that you hadn't figured out yet? Because that's a lot of days to keep trying a move that feels impossible because your knee's too short.
Yeah, but the thing is that I went there with the goal of struggling, like because I know from the previous project I had when I was around between 15 and 17 years old. I know from those projects that the best are the one where you struggle the most. So I went there with the goal of struggling.
I love that.
For me, it was like, okay, it's part of the process, and this is what I was searching for, to struggle. So yeah, I was happy that I could find something where I can invest a lot of time and have this progression in the time.
That's great. Yeah, you're achieving your goal every single day that you're not making progress, and that's that's perfect. I like that. That's a really cool thing. I'm gonna try that. Going into a project with the goal of struggling. Another question I had about the Big Island and that kind of collection of projects and boulders right there is about Big Conviction. Nobody talks about Big Conviction. V16, your first ascent, you did it after Soudain Seul, so it just got a lot less attention. But you wrote a really beautiful Instagram post about it. Why did that climb feel so meaningful to you?
Yeah, it was really about the nostalgia, because the time I spent in Soudain Seul, like with all the people, the boulder that's amazing, the place there that is like in the nature, it's so cool that I really wanted to just to go there again and enjoy that vibe once again. So that's really what motivates me to go there. Yeah, by pure nostalgia, but also because it's a hard boulder. It's also like it was one opportunity to climb again in the Big Island, a boulder that I like so much. So yeah, it was perfect for me to just go there and try to open this new line.
Yeah, that's really nice. I like how I've heard you talk about this in a couple other places. It's cool to hear how much emphasis you put on the experience beyond the climbing when you go try one of these projects. Seems like you really enjoy just kind of immersing, not just in the bubble of the project and the climb, but also just that place and the nature there and the people and all of that.
Yeah, I think that the chance I have that I grow with my father, who was a climber, and he really he learned to me how to enjoy all those things. When I was a kid at the cliff, and he was saying to me, "Oh, listen to the bird," or "Look at this, it's beautiful." And I think he really opens my mind to all the beautiful things that you can find when you go to climb outdoor. And I think I'm really lucky for that.
Yeah. Is your mom a climber?
She was climbing, but she stopped when she had my sister.
Okay.
Like when she had her first kid, she was super scared from the height and everything about climbing. So I've never seen my mother climb.
Okay.
But she was climbing back in the days. I've seen some picture of her like climbing in Les Gorges du Verdon, like multi-pitch, and for me it seems crazy because now she's I never see her doing sport. So yeah, like not the kind of woman that fits with my father. But yeah, that's why they broke up at some point. I guess. Well, I was 1 year old, so I don't even remember.
Did you split your time between your two parents growing up?
No, I was living with my mother and my sister, and just going one weekend every 2 weeks to my father. But all the whole life where my mother lives, so it was just more easy like this.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it sounds like climbing was like the thing that you did with your dad. Is that like how you bonded with your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we shared like really crazy moments together, like super emotional. And I think it's amazing that I can share this with my dad. And when I was sending my projects when I was a kid, like he never pushed me in any way, but he was so proud of me, and he was like even more stressed than me. And it's really fun to see. Like even at some point, I was feeling like sometimes he was super stressed, and he was giving me his stress. So that's
Dad, chill out. It's okay if I don't send this today.
really.
Well, that's beautiful that you got to share that with your dad. I was curious about coup d'état. How do you say that? I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
Coup d'état.
Coup d'état. Yeah, Belgium's first 9A, which you did. And yeah, you said that once again, you got to share the moment with your father. And maybe he was even more happy than you were.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
think the biggest, and you can find it on YouTube, it's when I sent Action Direct. When I sent, he went but crazy, like he started like screaming, but so loud, and he was really going crazy. But it was, for me, it was not even fun, because instead of just, I was in the moment and enjoying the moment, but it just pulled me out of that moment because of his scream. So I remember that moment. It was it was a bit crazy, but yeah, that's I don't have to complain.
Yeah, that was your first 9A Action Direct. Yeah. Have you ever had to talk to him about that? Like, Dad, I know you're happy for me, and I know you want me to do this, but it's okay. Chill out. Like, do you ever have those conversations with him?
Yeah, I think I already said to him, yeah, don't be stressed for me. And I already said to him, yeah, I felt you were stressed, and it did affect me a bit. But I never told him about the fact that he pulled me out of the joy bubble in Action Direct, because I think I don't want to, I think it would be painful for him to hear that, and he would feel bad about it. So I just didn't tell him. I think it's better like this.
He's not going to listen to this, is he?
No, it doesn't speak English. So
okay, perfect.
So no worries.
And we will be right back. This episode is brought to you by Crimpd. This is such a helpful tool, you guys, especially if you are overwhelmed and want to simplify your training. I highly recommend getting Crimpd. Here's the deal. The Crimpd app gives you access to 75 different workouts created by world-class climbers and coaches, Tom Randall and Ollie Tour. They've both been on the podcast. We love these guys. And all of it's for free. So you can download the Crimpd app right now and give it a try. And if you love it and if you want even more training power, consider signing up for Crimpd Plus. Crimpd Plus unlocks 3 main things. Number 1, instead of 75 workouts you get with the free version, you will have access to over 200 workouts and progressions with Crimpd Plus. Secondly, with Crimpd Plus, you can create your own custom training plans right there in the app. And finally, you'll unlock a collection of skill templates designed to bootstrap your training and focus on specific areas of improvement. Want to improve your finger strength or work on your flexibility or finally conquer the one-arm pull-up? Well, guess what? There's a skill template for each of those things and many, many more things that will guide you through the process of conquering that specific skill. So check out Crimpd. Go to crimpd.com or check out the Crimpd app for free from the App Store and consider signing up for Crimpd Plus. Crimpd, training on your own has never been easier. This episode is brought to you by MadRock. I'd heard a lot about the drones on this podcast from guests like Matt Foltz, Emil Abrahamson, and Ethan Pringle, who all swear by these shoes. And I finally got to try the drones in 2023. And the hype is real. I immediately fell in love with the Drone CS, especially. That's their comp version, which is a little softer. And I sent all of my hardest outdoor boulders in 2023 while wearing the Drone CS. I wore them almost exclusively in Magic Wood and Rocklands over the summer. I got to test them on a wide variety of climbs, and I'm a huge fan. I just got my second pair of the Drone CS, and now I'm testing the Drone 2.0. The Drone 2.0 is a huge upgrade from the original, in my opinion. They feature all of the things I love about the Drone CS, but they're just a little stiffer and more supportive. You can really drive into small footholds and edges with the Drone 2.0. And I'm really excited to test both of these shoes here in Waco Tanks over the next 2 months. And I will let you all know how that goes. I'm super stoked. I would recommend the Drone CS if you like a softer, more sensitive shoe. And I'd recommend the Drone 2.0 if you want a slightly stiffer shoe that can really claw into small footholds on hard climbs. Both of these shoes are amazing for toe hooking. They both feature the edge heel, which is clutch for heel hooking on small crimps and edges. I'm a huge fan of both. Head over to madrock.com and enter code NUGGET for 10% off your first order. That's madrock.com and code NUGGET for 10% off your first order. And now, back to the show. Do you have any sport climbing goals, and do you still go climbing with your dad?
In the last few years, I didn't went with my dad anymore since, well, I'm an adult. I have my driving license, everything. So I think it's just easier to go without my dad, and yeah, like everyone does. But I have some plan to go someday with him for some project and to live the same experience that we did a few years ago. So I think it will be nice. And in terms of pure lead climbing, I really want to do 9B plus someday, like Perfecto Mundo and Excalibur also.
Yeah, it seems like Excalibur might suit you really
because
well.
I think it's my style. And this summer after the Olympics, I'd like to go to Seus to try Rastaman Vibration.
Oh, cool.
Because the line is just so attractive, and it looks like Seus is one of the best rock I know, and the routes, wow, looks too amazing. And there I should have quite a good endurance at that moment, so I want to take profit of it and try 9B or 9B plus. Yeah.
Why that one? Why Rastaman Vibration and not Bibliography or some of the other ones?
Yeah. The thing is, I'm still like endurance still is not my strongest point. So I think Rastaman Vibration would suit more my style, and also I'm just more attracted by the powerful move to the big move to the crimp, and it's a bit steeper also. So for me, it just seems more cool to work on.
Yeah. Awesome. Are you going to continue competing after the Olympic qualifications and after the Olympics? Do you love it still? Do you want to continue doing it?
Yeah, I still love it a lot. Just as I think I will continue, but only in bouldering.
Okay.
Depends how the style is going to be in the years to come. But if the style is keep pushing in the coordination stuff, I think I'll stop sooner. Because I really like coordination. Like for real, it's super nice to when you do this kind of move, the feeling that you can have. But what I don't like it's when in a competition there is in a round there is 4 boulder out of 4 with coordination.
Yeah.
And for me it's not climbing anymore, because climbing, if like every move can be considered as climbing, but if you put only coordination, you avoid all the other stuff I really like about climbing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll stop sooner if the style continues like this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I hope that it kind of like, I mean, it seems like the pendulum has kind of swung and maybe is coming back. I hope that things end up feeling a little bit more balanced. Like my favorite competitions to watch are like Legends only, because I think it's really fun to have a mix of styles, like that Beastmaker boulder on the Legends only comp, and like on those wooden holds, it just looks like Burden of Dreams style. It's just so badass to see what you guys can do. The holds that the crazy tiny holds that you can hold on to and things like that. And I hope that doesn't go away. I mean, coordination is really fun and really impressive, but yeah, it starts to feel less and less like climbing. It feels more like parkour or something after a while.
Yeah. For me, we really miss to see just to see who is the strongest.
Yeah,
just to see the guy who, nobody does the boulder when you see one guy just pulling on the hold and he just do it.
Yeah,
and we really miss this kind of situation, I think. Except last year with Sorato on some friction, super friction dependent hold. It was really like this, nobody was moving, and then he just came and flashed the boulder. But it's still missing a bit, I think.
And why would you pivot to more of a bouldering competition focus and stop doing lead competitions? Do you just prefer it? Is it just more fun for you, or do you feel like you're more naturally better at it?
I think maybe I will have more potential. It would be maybe easier to be consistent in lead climbing. But I just enjoy more the training aspect and the format of the competition, because the fact that you have only one try in each route in qualification, then one try in this format is really hard for the mind for me.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
at the end, you don't climb a lot on your weekend or in bouldering. Even if you don't pass the qualification, you give everything you had till the last boulder, and you finish completely empty and destroy, and it feels good. Even if it can be also super frustrating, because sometimes it's just you don't see a beta, or you're not in the right mindset, and you just miss your competition, but it still feels better than lead to compete.
Do you think that focusing on competitions and balancing that with your outdoor projecting is helpful? Is that a good combination that helps the outdoor climbing or helps the competition readiness more than just focusing on one exclusively? Or do you think you could benefit from being even more specialized? Because I'm not meaning to ask a leading question here. I think it's interesting, something that often happens when people get really into projecting. All they do is try the hardest things that they can do. Is your volume goes way down. You're just doing a lot less climbing on average than someone like you who's doing so much climbing to prep for lead and bouldering competitions.
Yeah, I think that for me, first, outdoors helps for it's kind of my after season break, and it really helps me because, for example, last year, the end of the season was really hard. It was a bit too long, and I never felt so tired mentally at the end of the season. And I felt like even if you have to focus, going to Finland and try Burden, it was just the perfect break, because I didn't think about competition anymore for almost 2 months. So in that way, I felt it was super helpful. It can be also super, for me, helpful to deal with the pressure, because the outdoor, before you put a try, I feel so much pressure that sometimes I'm at the competition before going to my route or my boulder, and I tell to myself, okay, but you already experienced worst than how you are now, and it's gonna be okay. So I think I kind of, it helped me to deal with pressure, but also in both ways, because the pressure of the competition, it's a bit different kind of pressure, but it also helps to be ready, like that. Once you go for your try, you're really ready to give everything and to put everything in place to perform. And for sure, the competition will give me this all the training tool and the training knowledge that I will need for my future outdoor career, I think.
Yeah. That's really interesting about the pressure. That's some interesting like mental voodoo. Because I would expect it to be the opposite. Like I would expect you to feel more pressure in a competition because you only have 5 minutes or because you only have one on-site attempt on a route or whatever. It's interesting to hear that you feel even more pressure when you're trying a project outside because you could just try it again. You know, it's like it doesn't have the same constraints. But I'm mostly an outdoor climber. Almost exclusively an outdoor climber. I don't compete at all. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's fascinating how much pressure you can feel when you know that you can just try it again in 20 minutes. You know, you're like, I have to do it now. Like the wind is perfect, you know? So I totally get that. But it's cool that you're able to kind of use it both ways. Yeah. It's not, that's cool.
Yeah, because at the end you have, like, when you're projecting something outdoor, you should try to climb it as perfectly as possible, like when you have only one try. So at the end, it's really you can really use this kind of what you learn on competition to be okay. Now I know exactly what I have to do to perform and to do well. And yeah, I think it's helpful in that way.
If you were to stop competing, most of your training has been for competitions. That's like the framework that you've learned how to train. What would you keep doing to train for outdoor projects, and what would you stop doing?
I think I would stop all the coordination stuff. And I would climb almost exclusively on spray wall with a small hold, kilter board, moon board, and I think I would structure a true plan on the season. But I also would climb much more. I have like friends that are climbing exclusively outdoor, but that are training a lot indoor all the year. And I think I would spend much more time also with my friends, just climbing with them and like trying hard every session, but really enjoy more this part of the training. Also this social aspect. Yeah. But I think, I would just do mostly spray walls. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I talk about that all the time. I think that does have the best transfer to outdoor projects, at least for me. And it sounds like for most people. Earlier, you talked about like wanting to go to America and climb the 2 9As that we have here, Megatron and Return of the Sleepwalker. And then you talked about trying to find your own 9A plus and something that'll really push the limits. Do you have like a dream 9A plus in your mind? What would that look like? Like what would your perfect, if you like were hiking, you know, in Red Rocks or something and came around a corner and there was the perfect boulder, or maybe it's a different rock type, I don't know. What would it be like? Do you have any ideas?
I think that would be something like in the style that would be like a kilter board style, like 50 degrees, big move on good crimps, like not as good as on most of the kilter hold, but like in cut crimps far, and you have to jump from one to another. And with, I think if you can have like one arm swing on one of the crimp, like something a bit crazy like this, I think on the really nice rock, like compact rock, like a beautiful line. I think that for me that would be the craziest thing. But it's really because it's the style I like the most. When I set a boulder just to enjoy in the gym, it's always this kind of thing where I take few crimps that are pretty far away from each other, and I just have to jump from one to another.
Mm.
I really like this really powerful and like style where you feel you're flying on the holds.
Yeah. I'm imagining something that's like, visually similar to Burden of Dreams, steeper with slightly better holds farther apart, maybe more moves, something like that.
Yeah, and the hold in a bit in a better direction where you can really pull in opposite direction to create tension.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. I love Burden for that reason. I mean, of all the hardest boulders out there, the simplicity of that one, like the blankness of the wall, the board style thing. I just think that is the coolest fucking thing to watch and to see people climb on. It's just, it like taps into that like, beginner climber impossibility that I was so fascinated by. I'm like, how the fuck are they holding on to those things? It's just, there's no tricks to it. It's just, can you hold on these holds and do these really hard moves or not? I think that's so awesome. I think it's the most inspiring style for me too. And ironically, the style that I think I struggled the most with, but I just think it's so cool. Yeah. I hope you find it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There is so much rock on the planet, even on the sector that we know, there's so much everywhere, but there is just like a tiny little portion of those rock that offer this kind of possibilities. It's crazy that there is, and that's also the problem. It's super hard to find, actually.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that there is just a few like this on the planet, and the other are just or too easy or too blank, and it's not really possible. So
yeah. Do you know of any projects out there that sound similar to what you're describing?
We went to Slovenia for a training camp a few weeks ago, and with the Belgian team we were working with a Slovenian coach with climbing outside a lot, and it told me about a project that like a seed start of 8B there in Slovenia, and we went to see it, and it's crazy because it's on limestone, and most of the time bouldering on limestone it's clearly not the best, but there it's just crazy how good it is. It's like, I think it's 1, 2, 3, it's like four or five hard move in a row, and I think it's as hard as Burden.
Wow.
Even maybe a bit harder, and it's just like perfect crimps in a 50 degrees wall, and there is just enough hold to make it possible.
Wow.
And for sure that will be a project where I will go in the years to come, because I think it's as unique as Burden.
Wow. Amazing. Are you losing sleep over it yet? Are you laying in bed just thinking about it?
Not yet, since I'm focused on competition, because I'm super, I don't know if you can say it in French, we say monomaniac. Like I can focus only on one thing at the time. So when I'm focused on competition, I almost don't even I'm not thinking a lot about outdoor. Then once I switch, I go outdoor. I don't care about competition anymore, but I really switch. I cannot focus on two things in the same time.
That's why you're so successful. That's why you're so good at what you do. That's cool. Yeah. Well, I'll be excited to hear more about that project in the future whenever you get a chance to go try it. It sounds perfect. It sounds like exactly what you're looking for.
It's like, it's really unique. I think except Burden, I've never seen like such a hard and perfect boulder.
Wow. And like, have all the moves been done on this thing, or does it just feel
Uh,
like they're probably possible and,
mhm.
and they're still to be figured out?
Two moves are missing.
Mm.
Um, one of them has been almost done by one of the strongest Slovenian climber, Zansudar, but it didn't do the move. And one hasn't been done yet. I know that Zan, he just pulled in the position and just fell. So like I touched the hold but it was a bit wet and I didn't have chalk, but it felt like one move 8B, I'd say, into one move 8B into the 8B.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
I think that should be something around this difficulty.
Mm. Damn. That's exciting. That's exciting. I'm so curious to see how long it takes before someone climbs like a solid 9A plus, you know? Like when is
Yeah.
that going to happen? It's crazy how quickly things seem to be progressing now. It seems like not that many years ago that everything kind of got stuck at like V15 or 8C for quite a while, you know, quite a long time, and a couple things got proposed 8C plus, but then they got downgraded or no one was sure, and then all of a sudden like a bunch of people have climbed 9A, and the future is just exciting. It's so crazy.
Yeah, but and yeah, I think now maybe one of the hardest thing it's I think people are now strong enough to send 9A plus if they invest enough time. But I think the hardest is just to find the good line that is just the perfect level.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that there is this project in Red Rocks on the right of Trieste.
Mm-hmm.
There is also the seed start of Imhotep in Fontainebleau.
Mm.
And that doesn't look to be hard enough to be 9A plus, but who knows, sometimes with the right exit of Alphane.
Oh yeah.
It's the only three projects I know at the moment.
Wow. Yeah, it's awesome to know that there's even that many of them out there that people are trying.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. So you started telling me when we were doing our sound check about what's coming up for you, but tell me about that. What's next for you with training and competitions and the Olympic qualifying series? Yeah, tell me what's coming up and what you're excited about.
So first, I'm gonna do all the competition in the start of the season. So I'm going to China for the two World Cups. Then I'll do Salt Lake City 10 days before the first UQS because I really need like the pressure of competition. It's like my body needs to understand it and to feel it a few times before I feel comfortable again in competition, like in this kind of big stage. So I'm really going for the most competition I can, just to get in this routine mode. Then in May and June, they will be those two OQS, where I hope I'll be strong enough and I will do good enough to go to the Olympics. Then hopefully I will go to the Olympics. It would be, I think, amazing.
Yeah.
For every competition, like climber, or when you do competition in every sport, I think that's the biggest goal. So for sure, that would be super cool. And then I'll focus finally after a lot of years about like because all the past years I was already thinking about it, but there will I'd be able to spend much more time outdoor and yeah, just climb as much as I can outdoor and send as much project as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited about this part.
Yeah, you can't lose. I mean, if you go to the Olympics and get a chance to compete at the Olympics, that's amazing. And if you don't, then you just get to do more rock climbing and try some more awesome projects. It's great. It's a win-win. Are you you talked about losing your contract with the government. Are you self-funding? Are you working and like paying for all the plane tickets and paying your way to all these competitions?
Now for the competition, the thing is that I had this contract, but we in Belgium we have the chance that the federation support the athletes that are doing like good results. So when I go in competition or in training camp and everything, I don't pay anything. Or this year I will have to pay, like, but for the season it's not a lot. Like, so I think we are in a good country for this, because I know that there is a lot of country where they have to pay everything by themselves. So for us, it's okay.
Okay. Well, best of luck.
Thanks.
Yeah. We'll be rooting for you in the competitions to come. Anything else that you want to share before we dive into some questions? I got a handful of listener questions for you that span a number of different topics. I'm sure we've talked about some of them already, but yeah, anything else you want people to know about or want to talk about before I wrap this up?
Yeah, maybe because you in the beginning of the talk you were saying that, so my father did the first 8C in Belgium in 1994.
Yeah.
And I am the first repetition of this 8C.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like, I don't remember, but it's more than 20 years later, like, or it's like 30 years later. So I was the first repetition of it, and my father was bullying me when I sent it.
That's
and
incredible.
I think he was almost, when I went back to the ground, he gave me a big hug and he was almost crying because it's by far the proudest ascent of his career. So yeah, it was just a super cool moment with him, and this family scent was just
the family
amazing.
scent. I love it. How old were you at the time?
But I don't remember when was it, but I think I was 23.
Okay.
I think it was 4 years ago.
Okay. How does your dad feel about your climbing now? Do you guys talk about it? Does he understand bouldering? Is he into it? Is he psyched for you?
Yeah. He's following closely what I'm doing. And we still climb together, like maybe once a week. I'm not living in the same at the same place in Belgium as him, but it's since Belgium is a really small country, he only have to drive 1 hour. So he always come here, and we train together. So yeah, and since he's still climbing at a quite good level for his age, he know exactly what is climbing hard, what is projecting, because I remember once when I felt in one of my projects, he was telling me about a story of his friend who, when they were like 30, but one story of his friend that after he failed in the project, his friend was crying, and so we really share all those things together. And he know how to give me the support I need also by phone when I was in Finland, for example. And yeah, even if he never tried such a like hard move like this, I think he kind of know
he still understands
what it feels like.
Yeah. What did that look like? What kind of support did you need, and what did he say, or what did he do for you when you were in Finland?
I think it was really like it's always about like my education was really about knowing that okay, it's hard at the moment, but life's still amazing, because what a chance to be there to live that process. Like I'm there in Finland. I can like I'm like I don't know. I'm in a warm place. I'm like I have all this comfort around me, and it's such a big chance that I have this comfort, and I have the chance to try a project, because a lot of people doesn't have that chance. A lot of people are just in a hard or in a hard situation, or work in a work that they don't like. I don't know. It's really about this perspective, like difference in perspective, and I think when I have him on phone. In this case, it's always about it. Like try to think positive, because we are super lucky to have this kind of life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think that's a great note to end on. Unless you have anything that you want to share, do you have anything you want to share with listeners before I let you go?
No, I think I just got this idea about my father, and
yeah,
I think nothing else special to say.
Okay, well, I'm glad you shared that. Simon, I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks. Me too.
I've been really inspired by you, man. I just want to wish you the best of luck with the Olympic qualifying series. I hope you make it. Hope to be rooting for you in Paris. I won't be in Paris, but watching. And, whatever happens with that, I also am so excited for you to keep trying these projects and to keep showing us what's possible. It's just amazing. So appreciate you, inspired by you, and thank you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so patrons, stick around. We're going to dive into some of your questions here. And for the rest of you guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Simon. If you want even more, if you can't get enough of the show, and if you want more nuggets, we ended up talking for another 40 minutes. We did a 40-minute extra. We dove into some of your questions. We talked about media attention. We talked about working as a coach and what he has learned from working with athletes about his own climbing. We talked about his strengths and weaknesses. We talked about the films of his 9As and when we can expect to see those. We talked about the difficulty of his hardest boulders and how they compare. We talked about keeping training fun and his favorite and least favorite training sessions, his proudest moment in climbing. And we talked about watching Chris Sharma films and his climbing inspiration when he was young. It was really fun. So if you want to hear about all of that and more, that extra with Simon is available right now for patrons who support the Nugget for $5 per month or more. You'll get access to tons of bonus content. I'm putting out extras for almost all of my episodes now. I do my own audio blogs every once in a while and give you guys updates about what I'm up to and how my climbing is going. You can get ad-free episodes and videos and a lot more. So once again, you can get all of that right now by signing up for Patreon at patreon.com/thenuggetclimbing. There's a link right there in your podcast app. And there's a 7-day free trial. So if you want to go listen to Simon and just check that out and see what it's all about, you can do that for free. You can cancel at any time, no questions asked. I do hope you stick around because it makes a world of difference for me. And I really appreciate the support of the podcast. All right, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Much love to all of you. Best of luck with your climbing wherever you are tuning in. Remember how lucky we are to be able to climb. Enjoy yourselves out there, and we will see you next time.
Like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it.